somebody wants to know how to convert a float to an integer. Okay, so I was just explaining I thought you meant from float to an integer. That's what you want. So for example, let's say how about I equals 5, and then say f equals I. How about this? Okay, so the assembly code, most of the work is being done by the floating point unit. It loads an integer into the floating point stack, and then it stores FSTP. That stores and pops the stack. So FILD and FSTP. Let's look in the Intel datasheet. There's architectural manuals. If you look, FILD is where we load an integer, convert signed integer to double extent. Okay, so this CPU instruction puts an integer onto the floating point stack. That's the floating point stack is you could say they're the variables used by the CPU. So to convert an integer to a float is we want to convert a float to an integer. Okay, well first it has to convert it to, we have to get a float. Oh, did you say integer to float or float to integer? Anyway, I think you said float. Well, you do the other way around. I got confused. What did you say? Let me check. I can tell you how the other way around. I got confused. What did you say? Let me check. Interesting. Float to integer conversion. Float to integer. Float to integer. We did integer to float. You want float to integer. So for example, float to integer. Well, I equals 3.14. You wanted float to integer. I got that right, didn't I? Okay, float to integer. So in this case, it's a float constant, and the compiler optimizes and stores a 3. But if I could tell you how that happens, if you want. Oh, let's. Float to integer. I equals F. Okay. So we load a float into the stack, which is the F, and then we FISTP. That stores and pops an integer. So basically let me go ahead and tell you, I like to talk about this. If I was I thought about if I were hiring people, I thought about what kind of question might I ask if I were hiring somebody. And if I were hiring somebody, I look for somebody who would be good for working on compilers and assemblers and stuff in low level. And a question I might ask if I were hiring somebody is how do you represent let's say 4.125 minus 4.125, how about 5 as a double float. So that if I were going to interview people for a job, that's what I might ask them. And I would give partial credit for as much as possible. So first of all, you have to convert it to binary. And this is 101.001. 1 plus, well, I'm not going to teach you binary. I'm just, this is the 1/2 column. This is the 1/4 column. This is the 1/8 column. And so to convert this to a float, what you have to know is, first of all, it is it's not 2's complement. It's normally when you represent a -1 as an integer is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. -1 as an integer is stored like that, but as a float, -1 is stored as 8. It's stored as a 1 with a negative bit. This is 2's complement, and this is a sign bit. Okay, so the first thing you have to know about how the double is stored, the double is not stored as 2's complement. It's stored with a sign bit. Now a double is 64 bits. I'll just let's just say you have 0x 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. So if you're dealing with floats, they have 3 bits of exponent, three what do they call these hex digits? Hex digits? I don't know. I forgot how to say it. Nibbles. Okay, you have 3 nibbles of. This is the exponent. This is the mantissa, and so for this, this is 1.01001 times 2 to the 1. This is times 2 to the 0 times 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2 times 2 to the 2 power. Okay, it's minus. Okay, so the first thing you have to know is what I always remember is 3FF is equal to 1.0. 3FF is equal to 1.0. Now the sign, okay, if you take it to a negative power, that's the 40. Oh well, I'll just. Long story short, we take what we want is 400 is 2.0, and 401 is 4.0. So what we want for this is there's a trick. The leading ones digit is ignored, or is a hidden bit, is what they call it. So what we want is we have to set the sign bit, it's negative, and so it becomes CO1. So the result we want is CO1, and then we have to get rid of the hidden bit. So we put this back into hexadecimal, and that's going to be a 4, 8. Okay, let's see if I did this right. My theory is that when it's 5.125, it's converted to that. Let's see if I did this right. So if I say float 64f equals minus 5.125, and then I say what is f as an integer. Okay, so I did it right. So that might be what I ask for if I were going to hire people. Either that or I'd ask them to do a miracle. So let's see, here's a miracle. Anyway, so I don't know if that's what you're asking. There's a CPU instruction that loads a float, and then a CPU instruction that stores an integer, FIST store and pop. So that's an answer to your question. Let me see if I answered. I don't know what's your question. You want to know how it figures out which type an expression is going to be, or do you want to, or did I answer your question? The CPU has you don't have to do that floating point by hand. The CPU does it. You don't have to do that floating point by hand. The CPU does it. You don't have to do that floating point by hand. The CPU does it. I don't know if somebody's being a wise ass asking how to compile their HTML. I don't know if they're a wise ass. So TempleOS is an operating system. I made an editor. We can convert. We can say to HTML test cpp.c. Did I? Oh, I moved it out of. It used to be built in. I'm going to. Okay, so I just included that utility to HTML, and now when I say, oh, I changed directory. Okay, now if we go to home, then we have an HTML. Let's edit this as plain text. So here's the HTML of that file. It changes colors for highlighting, and I'm not the best HTML coder. I made a utility to convert to HTML. This doc is the name of the TempleOS document. I used to have this utility as a standard part of the operating system. Now it's a standalone separate part, because you'll want to customize. Let's say your website, you want to have links to other files on your website. Well, then what you need to do is you need to convert the links from TempleOS DALDocs to I convert them for my own website, and you'll need to customize this to convert them for your website. So you'll have to look at the code. Here's what I'm saying. If we go to my kernel and we let's see. In my kernel source code, I have these red links that are active that will jump to code. And if I wanted to convert this file to HTML and I wanted the links to work, then what I would have to do is I would have to convert this LK. This has a file, and I would have to convert that to a HTML link to a file on my website. So what I decided is you're going to have to modify the code in this to HTML in order to maybe you also want a header for all the files on your website. You want a header, and so I decided it was. At first, I was trying to pass all the flexible information as arguments, but it's hopeless. I couldn't make the tool flexible enough, and so I removed it so that it's not part of the operating system. It's a standalone tool. What is this? I think I want to delete that. So okay, so if you want to do that example, okay. Let's see if there's any other questions, or yeah, if you have questions, I can answer them. Let's see. Questions, I can answer them. Let's see. Quantum computing, I don't know. I can do quantum. Let's look for quantum random number. Take a look at this. Quantum random number. Here's what we're going to do. Okay, bear with me. Okay, these are quantum random numbers generated from hardware. And here's what we're going to do. We have... Okay, let's... We have... We have a file with line numbers. This is the Bible with, it's got 100,000 lines in the Bible. Okay, this is the Bible with 100,000 lines. What we're going to do is we're going to get, since 100,000 is 99999, 5 digits, we're going to take the last 5 digits of this hex stream and we're going to use it as a line number. No, we're going to take we're going to do this kind of amateur thing. We're going to take the last 5 decimal digits. Okay, so we go to this hex stream So the last 5 decimal digits, 3, 1, 4. So it's going to be 77413. So we go to 77413. Serpent, if ye then being evil know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall your heavenly Father in heaven give good things to them that ask him? Therefore all things whatsoever ye would men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law of the prophets. If ye enter at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. Okay, this is talking about logic gates. He's just doing so he's talking about quantum computing here in the Bible. Just bullshit. I just did a miracle. I'll let you all know. You saw what I did. I went to Google. I said quantum random number. Then I went to this random number site, and you saw me I did a live stream of random hex numbers. We could do binary. Anyway, what is this? Oh, that's weird. Are they on drugs? What are they doing? Okay, so I think the guy was nine. Okay. It's hard to explain the concept of hexadecimal to a non-computer person. So it's easier just to you want to do another miracle? Let's go to hot bits, which is these are Geiger counter random numbers. The last numbers were some kind of antiparticle vacuum noise. Now let's take the first 5 decimal digits. Okay, 09765. 09765. So let's see if I still have my file open. Oh well. 09765. You're supposed to do an offering. 9765. And he sprinkled thereof on the altar 7 times, and anointed the altar all his vessels, that the laver of his foot to sanctify them. So 7 times is kind of... And he poured the anointing oil upon Aaron's head, and anointed him to sanctify him. Oh, this is where Moses is making Aaron his assistant. Moses brought Aaron's sons, put coats on them, and girded them with girdles, and put bonnets on them, as the Lord commanded, and brought the bullock for the sin offering. Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the bullock for the sin offering. Anyway. Okay, well, I'm going to shut down right now.